Amigos, I am Rodolfo Ramos, Bradesco BBI's Mexico strategist, and welcome to That's What's What in Mexico, our bi-weekly video product. As you can see here today, we have a special surprise here in store for you. We're spending this week here in Asia, meeting with some of the world's most important EM institutional investors. And today we are here in Hong Kong, and thanks to the help of our colleague here, Jae Choi, we were able to reach here the peak to bring you this beautiful vantage point of Hong Kong. So I hope that you enjoy this very iconic here backdrop, and let's dive right into our content here. We're going to be covering three topics of discussion. First, we're going to be talking about the recent implications of this U.S. indictment of the Sinaloa governor in Mexico and the implications there on the politics side. Second, we're going to be talking about what this means for the U.S.-Mexico broader negotiations and how these trade discussions are moving ahead. And third, we're going to be closing with our views on the latest earnings season and tell you about what stood out to us the most. So kicking off here with our first point of discussion, this U.S. indictment. This is something that is unprecedented in Mexican politics. U.S. Department of Justice is issuing an indictment for a sitting publicly elected governor, in this case the state of Sinaloa governor, for association with the criminal or organized scene. The allegations made such an impact in Mexican domestic politics that we saw the governor take a leave of absence while the Attorney General carries on with their own investigations of these matters. We have to attribute here to the leadership of President Claudia Sheinbaum to the fact that this happened, because if it hadn't, we would have been in a completely limbo scenario, because in Mexico, state governors enjoy legal immunity. You have to go through a very complex process in Congress to get around that. So this eliminates that limbo, that impasse that could have happened, and allows them to move forward. This is, of course, sets a very challenging scenario for Morena, particularly in the state of Sinaloa, which is going to be having elections in 2027. Of course, we'll have to see whether the opposition can act there with some level of coordination, but this is going to be a complicated matter for the incumbent party here. And we've seen Sheinbaum already trying to change some of the leadership positions within Morena ahead of this 2027 election will be key. Now, with this happening, with this indictment, this scrutiny over candidates representing Morena is going to be critical. And again, this indictment has real implications for Mexican domestic politics. Now, what it means, moving on here to the second point of what it means for the U.S.-Mexico broader negotiations, this is something very critical, and this has been a priority for the U.S. administration, and the fact that Mexico is moving ahead and with this indictment and being more careful in that selection goes a long way in bringing that common goal of eradicating these criminal organizations from Mexico more tangible. So we do believe that this helps us get closer to that finish line in terms of the broader Mexico negotiations. We actually recently saw USTR, Jamieson Greer, head to Mexico, meet with all his counterparts, and shortly after this visit, we saw USTR issuing a positive report of Mexico's protection of intellectual properties. Again, this is something that we had seen as an irritant within the USMCA review. So this is a positive development ahead of the July review deadline for USMCA. It's not a deadline per se, and we might go a little bit beyond that. But again, all of these discussions, together with the fact that U.S. and Mexico have already started bilateral discussions, bodes well for the ultimate outcome. And we have seen nearshoring proxies, of course, doing well, and we continue to be very optimistic on those. So here to close here on our third point of discussion on this earnings season, the thing that really stood out to us the most was that after several quarters of very weak consumer environment, we're finally starting to see things changing on that front. We saw, for example, bottlers reporting volume growth during the quarter in spite of really high excise taxes kicking in January this year. So this bodes well for the consumer story in Mexico, which we continue to be overweight in our Mexico strategy portfolio. And again, we expect the World Cup to bode well in terms of volume growth and just overall consumption in Mexico. That was interesting to note from our side. And those are the three topics that we wanted to cover you today. You'll have to wait until the next episode to hear about some of the feedback from these meetings, since we just got started. But until the next time, amigos, take care and have a great one. Ciao, ciao.